How's the weather? Is it hot?
It is hot. My hair's going to get frizzy. But this is Miami.
This is Miami.
I feel like it's already starting to get frizzy. And this quarantine hair, because I need to cut it, it's so heavy, Mel. My hair feels like I have a ton, like my head weighs.
Listen, at least you have thick hair. If not, other people don't have that luxury.
No, it's blessings. Trust me, I'm not complaining. I have a bit of a headache, but no, it's blessings for sure. But I just find it so funny because everybody's like in quarantine, like especially boys, like they can't cut their hair. And then when they try to, I mean, have you seen some of those videos? It's so funny.
It's pretty tragic.
How are you doing though with your like upkeeping? Because I haven't even been able to paint my own nails.
No, they all broke. I actually posted this TikTok video of the first two that broke, which were these guys, and now it's all of them. So they're all gone. Lisa would be very happy to see these guys. No. I mean, it's the upkeeping is terrible. The nails are terrible. And I feel like we're not the only ones. Everyone on Instagram is talking about it. So,
all natural.
Well, it's somewhat.
I know.
Tragic. So this is our second sister chat. I think we had so much fun on the first one that we decided to keep going and making it happen. So thank you guys for joining us for a second episode of the Sister Chats. We left off in kind of the transition of Millennial Women, but I kind of got to thinking about our life, what we spoke about, what we speak about every day. And something that I think you and I have overcome is how not to feel sorry for yourself. And you recently had a birthday.
Yeah.
And sometimes birthdays also make you feel a little bit emotional. It starts to make you think about what you have and what you don't have. And I think the key here is to not feel sorry for yourself because you just don't progress.
Totally. So it was my birthday last Friday. I definitely had a poor me, woe is me, mini pity party for myself in the morning. And it was funny because going up to the birthday, I was like, oh my God, like I have this, like I feel great. But for whatever reason, that morning was just like, oh my God. And it was my 29th birthday. So it's my last year of my 20s. I also opened my eyes. I'm in my childhood bedroom. Like nothing of what I had envisioned for myself at 29. But at the same time, everything that I actually need, right? Because wherever you are in life is exactly where you're supposed to be, right? And, the reason why we start feeling sorry for ourselves is because we start, it's mostly all of these things that we the illusion of things that we fell in love with, right? Because why did I feel like I had to be at a certain place or a certain time, or it had to look like this? I mean, honestly, April 10th of 2020, nobody would have imagined that they would be wherever they were. You know what I mean? So it's not just me, so it's like, I feel like when you start going into like those little pity parties, the feeling sorry for yourself, like if you can think about just one person, let alone the entire world, which is what really made me snap out of it on Friday, it's like, you're never alone in this. But at the same time, I do believe in, like, if you really want to have that feeling sorry for yourself moment, quote unquote moment, that's okay, right? What you don't want is that moment to be months into years, because honestly, that's just time wasted, right? You're thinking about the yesterdays and your tomorrows can never come because you're so stuck in that kind of headspace. So like, I do honor having those moments. And I had my moment on Friday on my birthday. I cried. It was my birthday. Like, I definitely did it, but it's a moment, and then, but it's really like kind of getting down to that root of like, why am I feeling sorry for myself? And for me on Friday, it was, I didn't imagine myself at 29 to be here. But then I just thought about where the whole world is. And I was like, well, the whole world is kind of like, they would have never imagined this. So, I think it's humbling when you kind of step out of yourself and see, through the lens of what other people around you are going through. It kind of helps. How about for you, Mel? What do you do when you start feeling sorry for yourself?
You know, it's funny because I feel like for me, feeling sorry for myself is a place of comfort, sadly, right? So it feels like if I can just stay here and feel these things, then I don't have to deal with everything else that's going on, right? And it brings me
Yeah.
back memories to when, you know, in our last sister chat, when we kind of shared a little bit about our own backstory,
Yeah.
when no one wanted to buy Millennial Girls and then turned into Millennial Women. It was such a weird thing because I felt sorry for myself in a moment where I was just like, well, I'm used to this, right? I'm used to the rejection. Nothing ever really works out for me. I can never do this. I can never do that, et cetera, et cetera. And then at the same time, it was a very temporary moment. So I had been already fighting this for a while. So I wanted to overcome the feel sorry for me feelings for a long time. And this was my moment to decide if I was going to enjoy, meaning sit in my woe is me, or
Right.
was I going to make a change, a permanent change? Like it was, you know,
Yeah.
and so I decided I was going to make a permanent change. And then we decided to literally create something brand new out of nothing, create a
Yeah.
traveling podcast. I mean, everything changed, completely changed.
Isn't
So
that the funny thing though, Mel? Like once going to what you're saying, like once you allow yourself that moment, eventually you kind of get over it, right? It's like you're
it's
so much
annoying.
in your shit that it starts to really smell and you're like, okay, I want to get out of this shit. You know, like you do
Yeah.
have like eventually, but at the same time, it's like when you feel it, you can like get through it and then you really come to a point that you want to get out of it. Whereas if you don't allow yourself that moment, you kind of string that along, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's like honoring that moment, but I love what you're saying. It's like eventually you just want to get out of there.
You
Like you
get
want to get out of
annoyed.
that space. Yeah, totally.
It's completely annoying because it's like you're there and and you're like, okay, you know, what kind of person do I want to be? Right. And it goes back
Right.
to our first episode of Sister Chats, you know, what's the character in the movie you want to be? And I
Yeah.
just, you know, you and I saw examples of this, you know, with extended family and friends, right?
Yeah.
And so we knew the type of people that we didn't want to be. So we were portraying these characteristics and these habits that other people, and I'm not saying talking bad about them, I'm saying you can
Right.
choose what type of life you want to have in terms of your emotional state and your mental state. And
Yeah.
yes, it feels really good sometimes to sit and pour me and cry, but it's
Yeah.
a, you know, mom has this really great saying that she told us when we were kids. It's 1 day you're down, 2 day you're down, 3 day get up and go,
Right.
because you have a choice. And sometimes, yes, it feels good, but you do have to get up and you have to figure out what your next thing is going to be. In this case, it was a business thing for you and I. But for other people, it could be a toxic relationship or
Yeah.
a job that you don't like or whatever it is. But you know, you can sit and you can complain all day, but until you actually make the change, you're not going to feel better. And feeling sorry for yourself is just going to be annoying.
Totally. And I think it's I love this because I'm like a mixture of like emotions and then
Yeah,
practicality. And I
I
think
know.
yeah, so like I think at one point because I'm very emotional and I think it's and you are too. You're very emotional.
I'm
Actually.
very
I'm not even
emotional. I'm a Pisces.
no, you're even more emotional than me. Like you take that trophy, but I'm emotional. And I'm definitely emotional. But at a certain point, like my practicality side kicks in. And I can only say that
Yeah.
that really started kicking in for me in the last 2 years. And it's actually where I've started to see progression in my life because I definitely had many years of just wallowing in my emotions and oh my god, I was supposed to be this, and oh my god, you had literally, oh my god, you told me I was gonna do, you know, so it was like I was having such an internal battle. And when you're feeling sorry for yourself, that's what it is. You're just internalizing everything and you're just in this war within yourself.
Right.
And it that's a scary place. That's a very, very scary place. But it's also a place where once you kind of have, and this all is a journey, guys. Like this is a process. This is work. This is a ton of work to really realize like what is happening. So those are my thoughts. That's my ego. This is my emotions. And this you are all figuring out within yourself. You know, that's not a real voice. That's a false narrative. Like all of this comes with a lot of, you know, work, which is what we do with our podcast and what we seek to help you guys do as well while we're doing it at the same time. To get to that place of when you are feeling sorry for yourself, you're able to move on a lot quicker because you already know, okay, that's just a false, that's my ego.
Right.
This is just, so like you're able to, what's that word? Compartmental. Wow.
Compartmentalize. I don't know. We clearly cannot speak today. You're talking about shrinking all.
You're able to put them in certain areas of like trash and I need to explore this more, etc.
Exactly.
Definitely in my teenage years, my feeling sorry for myself looked completely different than what it is right now, this day. And I am grateful to say that I don't stay in those moments as long as I used to, because definitely I used to be a person that held onto the feeling sorry for yourself for years.
Yeah.
It really was years. Like a lot of my early 20s is just, oh my God. And it's a little bit of a blur, but I am very happy that now I can say it's I do still have these moments because we're human. And sometimes it just feels better to cry, but it's okay. You know what I mean? Like,
it's okay to cry. It's just, you don't want to stay in the moment.
You don't want to stay there
past because the third day.
I was getting, okay. That's where my train of thought, anyways, let's go back to the practicality, because the practicality starts telling you, okay, Steph, like this is my internal dialogue. Like, you can do this. Like, this is great. Like, you continue talking about the same shit that's not happening for you, and you're feeling sorry for yourself. But that practicality will also tell me you can do this, but you've already been doing this for 3 days. And that task that you still have pending hasn't gotten done. So if you don't do that, you're just going to do what? Typically what the outcome of that answer is what you're actually feeling sorry for yourself about. Right. So when you kind of realize like, oh, I'm feeling sorry for myself in the sense of like, I haven't accomplished this, I'm not that. And then that practicality is telling you, well, one of the reasons is because you continue this. And it's that practicality of like, you know, what you get is what you're giving. So if you're not doing things that are productive, you're not going to get anything. If you're not working towards something, you're not going to get it. And that's practicality voice is what I'm so happy that is actually being very loud within myself these days when I'm in those moments.
But at the same time, who made up those rules of like when you're supposed to be doing what at what time? True. So like you were mentioning earlier, I woke up, I was in my childhood thing, or by 29 I thought I was going to be here. True. Who made up those rules? Like,
well, yeah, totally. I mean, they all stem from somewhere, but we fall for them, and we believe in them, and we fall in love with them, all these rules.
Yeah. I think it's a marketing thing. I think it's entertainment. That's why I think entertainment has such a huge responsibility now. It always has had a big responsibility in selling you fantasy. But I think in 2020, because things are so insane and extreme, I think entertainers and entertainment and even platforms like ours has a huge responsibility to be authentic and honest and and transparent. I was like, transformative? No, transparent, to the audience.
You guys, we need a dictionary in this episode. That's for sure.
Clearly. We don't know what we're saying. No, seriously, I think we have a huge responsibility, and you and I talk about this all the time with the content that we create. But I think that marketing in general, entertainment in general, has done a very big disservice to sell us an illusion and sell us a dream that is not necessarily real. So I'm not saying that falling in love with your dream man is not real. Is that falling in love and, you know, running into him in the street and you fall and this whole thing is not necessarily real. You know what I mean? And so for the longest time, although I feel relationships, the view of that has changed tremendously. Yeah. A lot of women suffered because they wanted the Matthew McConaughey moment. They were looking for that, the Notebook, whatever that is. And if they didn't have that within their own relationship, then they weren't with the right person. Right. Mm-hmm. So if you don't get your dream job in whatever your character did in a month or less, then you're not on the right path. So you see what I'm saying? It's like, I had this epiphany in the shower today, actually. I don't know why this came to me, but it did. And I was like, wouldn't it be so interesting if people just literally documented their lives in real time, but what was really happening? and then have the viewer literally follow them for years so that you can actually see a real human being transform, achieve things, fail, and then you don't feel like you're the only person that's not,
Yeah.
accomplishing this in the quote unquote time frame that the
Yeah.
media essentially has created for us, right? The same thing with
Yeah.
weddings and all that stuff.
I think it's also, like that's kind of the beauty of today at social media. And I think it was when it came out, it was still kind of like being a new form of media, like still sugar coating. And like, let's be honest, Mel, like we have some makeup on right now. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, you're always going to have those, in social media, in media in general, you're going to have like the best foot forward kind of moments. Right. But
and that's okay too.
Right. And that's super acceptable. But I also do feel like people are so much more receptive and being open to truly be open. And I think we're starting to see that even with celebrities, from celebrities to your neighbors, to you yourself. I think we're honestly coming to an era of being more prone to being open. And I think that the beauty of that is that you're starting to see people like singers or bakers or whatever kind of person that you were looking towards for your aspirations, and hearing all their stories, you're actually starting to see how different every one of them are. And I think that the biggest lesson for us is, at least for me, is that surrender part, that intentional surrender to whatever your journey is supposed to be. Because
Right.
a lot of these people, and I think, and not that I know you are like me in the sense of like, we love to go on YouTube and we love to see interviews. Like I love
Right.
doing, I love to,
Me too.
and I know you love doing this too. And just kind of like researching people's stories, and especially like people that have reached success. It's like, we all want to know, like, what did you do so that I could do the same thing? But the common thread that I always find in all of these interviews is like, or when they finally get the award, they're like, I never would have imagined this, right? And that used to piss me off. But at the same time, now I understand it. Now it's like, there's no, like, the thing is to keep on moving, to plan and to strategize, but don't be obsessed. Don't commit to that. Like, be like flow, like allow things to come, allow things to go, most importantly, and just be able to be in a constant state of surrender plus faith. Because surrendering is very scary. That's what's been happening to me, Mel. And you know this because I call you all the time at night at 12 a.m. and I'm like, I've been crying. And you talk me out of the ledge. And this has been, my ongoing thing. Like I've been having trouble with surrendering. But at the same time, I feel like now I'm kind of coming up with something that's feeling good for me. So yes, I'm getting comfortable with surrendering, but that just means I have to have a ton of faith. Because if you just surrender and you let go and you're like, that feels terrible, like I'm letting go of everything I ever wanted and surrendering, like, no, you have to surrender. I'm letting go because I know that there is something that's going to exceed my imagination of what I had, right? In plan for myself. And I think that that's kind of like the key, that the magic formula that has been helping me. It's like, I am surrendering, I'm choosing to surrender, but because I know that if and when I let it go, something that is going to exceed my expectations is going to come to me. And that's faith, right?
Yeah, 100%. But you have to let go. It's like you're saying, surrendering, but surrendering the illusion, the painting. We had this conversation not too long ago about falling in love with a painting or like a vision or an illusion, and the feeling of things, right? And it goes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier with the media. Everybody has a vision of whatever that may be, from your wedding day to the moment you get on the stage till you win an Oscar, right? Let's just say the feeling of what it takes of to get to that moment, is different than the picture. Have you ever heard of like, or have you experienced a time where you accomplished something and you're like, oh, I thought that was going to feel different? Because the illusion of it, you expected it to be this grand thing and it was going to be amazing. I felt that when I got the Nickelodeon show. I thought I was going to feel this insane feeling, but I actually felt a little bit empty. And, you know, that's when I really got worried. And when I really did surrender to allow, you know, life to just show me where I was supposed to go, because I was chasing an illusion my whole
Right.
life. Right. And so that's why people, when they get awards, they're like, I didn't expect this, because they weren't chasing that. They were
Right.
just surrendering and living. And then that happened to them. So the feeling is different. We talked a lot about this in relationships. And going back to the whole movies and everything, the Moulin Rouge, and, you know, the whole idea of what relationships are supposed to be like. But what is the feeling? What do you feel when you're with this person? It's not about what the person looks like, or what house you live in, or how much money you have in the bank, or any of that. How does this person make you feel? How do you feel when you're with them?
You said this the other day, and I thought it was so good. It was like, I think you said something of like, you paint a picture of something, but with that picture, it's like the picture doesn't really matter as much as the feeling matters. So like, in your intention in creating this picture, what did you want to feel? I wanted to feel happy. I wanted to feel joyful. I wanted to feel, I don't know, all these amazing things. But if you take away the picture of your current situation and you feel those feelings, then the picture doesn't really matter. Right? That's what you were telling me the other day. And I thought that was so amazing. It's like, it's not about the picture that you painted for yourself, but ultimately the feelings that you wanted to feel for yourself. And if you've accomplished that, then that's success.
Exactly. And I think that that's what everybody should sort of look into within their lives, you know. And we'll do a whole episode about relationships. I don't know why relationships just coming to my mind, just because I feel like always that's always such a common thing, and we hear it so much from our community, and we've really brought great resources to the table within our podcast to help and facilitate that area. But that needs a whole other episode of Sister Chats, because we have a lot to say about that. But, you know, I definitely think that, especially in this time, that there is a lot of lack, and there is a lot of just lack of everything. Resources, connection, business, finance. I mean, there's just so much lack. I think that now it's very easy for people to feel sorry for themselves, to feel like, why me? But it's also a moment to just say, like, everyone else is going through this too. So what is life trying to teach us all as a human race? As a society, a global society? Because I don't think that this is just a moment. I really don't think what's happening now is something that we're just going to read about in a history book. Like, that was a moment in time, and like a hurricane. Like I was telling you this earlier, I was like, I don't feel like this is like when we get hurricanes in Florida, where it's a week, 2 weeks. Okay. There's flooding and there's garbage, but we're back on our feet in 2 weeks and things are back to normal. I don't think we're going back to normal in a good way. I think that we're going to be changed for the better. And now it's your choice. Now it's your time to make a decision. Do you want to hold on to what used to be, or are you going to now get up and look forward to what is gonna be? And what do you want to do with that? So now is the perfect time.
Totally. And it's also okay to be like, I don't know. It's totally okay to be like, I don't know, and go back to like that magic formula that I was saying, like, I don't know. I'm just going to let it go, but I have faith that it's all going to work out. Like it's either like, you know, cuz we're also starting to see like, what should I be doing with my time, right? And there's no right or wrong way to quarantine or to go through this experience. There's really no right or wrong way. It's the right way for you. And you know, I think it's a time to go inside, since we can't go outside. It's a time to explore. It's a time to rest for many people. Like, so many people, Mel, like, have been on overdrive for the last years. You know what I mean? And maybe right now your time is not to be productive at all. Like, your time is supposed to rest, you know?
Or spend time with your family or whatever that is. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier in our conversation of like, who made up these rules, right? So now there's these rules on social, how to quarantine.
No, I even saw like this meme that it was like write a book or whatever. Like, it's like, guys, like, if you feel inspired. Like I've been writing so much, but that's because I feel like inspired. But like,
right.
We're already starting to right and wrong people's quarantines over here. Like, come on.
Right.
Crazy.
But that goes back into what the media again, right? It's like, you know, just like the hustle culture, which now I'm hearing a lot of the famous people that created hustle culture get back on it now and kind of say like, this isn't work. Again, it's like what we talked about in the beginning of this conversation, what you just said, whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong way of doing life, you guys. Literally just do whatever makes you feel good. The feeling, go by the feeling. Don't go by the picture or the information or what your father and mother say, because I'm sure people are still getting pressured from them. We don't, because our parents learned that a long time ago not to pressure us. I'm just kidding.
They still try though. Like, they don't even lie. They're always calling. Well, I'm living with them, so.
But I think you just have to do you know, and I think now more than ever, it's your time to make a decision. Feel sorry for yourself or not, and live the life that makes you feel whatever you want it to feel. But make sure it's a positive thing. Don't make it feel like it's bad, because you could do that too. You could choose that too. And I don't wish that on anybody. I wish people happiness and joy and excitement and heartache and failures, because it ultimately makes you who you are. You know, like that song, I think it's a One Republic song.
Which one?
I think it's called something about I lived or something, but basically saying to fall in love, to jump, to do all these things, because at the end of it all, at least you lived your life. And that's what's so important, right? And I think we're all going to look at life a little bit different now, really treasure it and cherish it. But I think it's going to be for the better, in my opinion.
Of course, that's where that faith has to kick in. It's all going to be for the better. Even if things seem to be getting worse, you know, sometimes things have to, the friction has to happen so things break and then they get renewed. And so I think it's all a moment for us to go inside and do whatever feels right for us. And if you don't know what to do, just do the next right thing. And if the next right thing to do is to say, look, I don't know, and I let go because I have faith, and that's all you do, literally just that sentence, and you're no longer thinking, amen to you. Like that's progress as well. So I love these sister chats, Mel, because I feel like we have these conversations all the time. And this is allowing us to, you know, kind of give you a glimpse of our real sister chats, which is super cool. And, you know, we're all literally going through all of this together. So like any kind of insights and thoughts that we may we're having them in real time with you. And I think that that's really special, because ultimately Millennial Women was created from a place, more so from a thought that if we're all over the world, the same age, probably going through the same things at the same time, like how cool is that? Like how cool is that? And how much can we learn from each other through that? So
absolutely.
I think that this is honestly bringing our dream in a way come true, right, Mel?
I mean, we're talking. It's like my favorite thing in the whole world. I was telling Jose the other day, I was like, you know, I never got in trouble for school except for talking too much. I literally got detention because I talk too much.
You really do talk a lot.
I love it though. I love it. I love it. I love it.
You were born for this, honey.
I was born for this.
I can't with you.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so then next week we're gonna have a brand new sister chats.
Yeah.
I don't know what the topic is. We do have several topics, so
it's gotta be a good one though.
We're gonna have to pick one. But I know it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great. Oh, it's gonna be great. All right, ladies. Well, we'll see you next week. I'll talk to you later, Tats.
Yeah, I'll call you now. I mean, it's tradition. I love you.
Love you. Love you all.
Bye.
Bye.